For this video, I'm going to be talking about the essence of non-reaction. Now, whether you came across it yourself or found it when practicing Buddhism, you may have came across the idea of non-reaction. If you perhaps found out about it yourself, you may just take it as not giving your effort to try in certain given scenarios. But in Buddhism, they take it a step further, and that's what I want to talk about in this video, is the Buddhist teachings of non-reaction. Now, when you first begin getting into Buddhism, they teach you, or you begin to understand yourself, that you are not your thoughts. It's as simple as that, that the thoughts you have are not the experience, the full-on experience that you are having. And it comes across as a simple statement, but with deep reflection on those statements, you begin to realize that what this statement, "you are not your thoughts," means is that you are not anything within your own imagination, including your name, and who you think you are, and who you think other people are, and where you think you are in this world, and the place you think you play in this world, all residing within the thinking mind, is not you. Now, when you begin to realize that, at first, it's confusing. It may be scary or just hard to understand, I guess, that if I'm not my thoughts, who am I? Well, through further reflection and going further into your practicing of Buddhism, you begin to realize that you are your consciousness. What you call this consciousness, this spark of awareness within your mind that is just there, you usually believe it is a creation of your own mind. That is who you actually are, is the observer of everything. And in any given situation, from the moment you are born to the moment you die, you are observing. You are the observer. And what we are observing is what we get caught up in. We get caught up in the characteristics of what is being experienced. But through this Buddhist teaching, you begin to understand that what you are is the observer of what is being experienced, not the characteristics of it. And with this understanding, I can kind of make my way into what this idea of non-reaction does in day-to-day life, whether you're talking to somebody or just on your own, you know? So I have a list written down here of just things that have popped into my head that revolve around the essence of not reacting. And the first I have here is intrusive thoughts, where you're on your own, or you're out in public and nobody's really bothering you, and you're just thinking to yourself, and you kind of come to the realization that the thoughts you're having are very negative, and they're making you feel some sort of way, and particularly you don't like how you feel right now. Now, the first immediate reaction is to change how you feel. To change how you feel. You don't like feeling like this. You don't like thinking this right now. So change how you feel. Change what you're thinking. You try to run away from this incoming thought or feeling that comes over your being. But in Buddhist teaching, the method that is recommended in these situations of at first hardship, later on it begins to encompass every experience you're in, but at first it's easiest to experience non-reaction with hardships in your life, like not feeling good about something or having intrusive thoughts, where you're just rapidly analyzing what you're thinking and trying to think of a way out as to where it will make more sense, or you won't have to think about it, or you're not even thinking about it anymore. The Buddhist practice during these scenarios is to, instead of being the one being affected by these thoughts and feelings, you become the one watching these thoughts and feelings. And over time, this begins to create a vast dissociation between the awareness of the experience and, like I said earlier, the characteristics of the experience, which are the good and the bad and the bored and the sad and the happy and everything in between that characterizes what you think you're experiencing, is all in front of this awareness. And the Buddhists teach you to identify with this place of awareness. Identify with this eternal state of observation. The concepts you have in your mind about why a situation is going bad, or how it's going to end up bad, or just whatever you may be thinking about in those moments, when you practice this method, you detach from what you think the situation is about, or what you think is going on, and you allow the thoughts themselves to tell the story. You sit back and say, okay, tell me how it is. Tell me how it is. Let's see it. Let's see it. And at first, it's raging. The concepts are going crazy. Running every which way they can to try and make sense to the one who's now putting them on the spot and observing them. And through time and effort and clarity in this place of observation, these thoughts and concepts begin to run out of fuel and run themselves dry, where they begin to no longer serve any sort of meaning, where they're just things sputtering off in the background while you are watching it go down amongst everything else that is happening to you. Not just the thoughts and feelings in your body, and that's kind of going to lead me to the next point of what I'm talking about. Arguments and fights with people. Over time, this practice of non-reaction can be used in benefit during an argumentative situation or a debate-like scenario where somebody is disagreeing with you or putting you down verbally for what you believe or what you are doing or whatever it may be. And this method teaches you to be able to see both sides of the story. See how you feel about what they're saying, and see why they are saying what they're saying, and perhaps how they feel about what they're saying. And what this does is it begins to take the victimization out of the scenario, where there no longer is somebody in here being victimized, being affected by what is being said to you. Rather, you are this vast awareness of how this thing feels and how the thing in front of you feels and what it sounds like and why you think it is saying what it's saying. And some people go as far as to calling what they think a separate individual. Meaning, if I was to talk about the thoughts I was having right now, I would say, he is thinking about this, or he is feeling this. Now, that just makes me think of mantra-like practices where people use it to remind themselves, but I feel this word I, when I call to I, I understand that this I resides within the thoughts. So saying to myself, I feel this way, or I am thinking this, doesn't come across to me as who I am, because I understand to myself that this I claim to be, is a residual thought, like everything else. And what these people that are saying to you, that you're arguing with, you realize that they're talking out of a place where they believe that they are these residual thoughts. And they are rapidly firing off and acting out of this place of extremely characterized opinion and belief and bias and condition as to, if this is said, this is how I react. But this non-reacting method pulls you out of that seat and allows you to be aware of what's happening and see how you feel, and watch all this personification of what you're about to say or why you think what you're thinking. Watch that play out. You allow it to play out as it is, and not be the victim of what you're thinking or how you feel or how that other person feels in regards to what they say to you. The image you get in your mind in regards to what they're saying to you can, at times in this argumentative scenario, be negative and feel like it's putting you down or making you look bad or diminishing you as a human, or whatever you think they mean. You pull away from this. You pull away from this, and you allow this thinker to think what they think they mean. It gets very complicated, and the further you get into this method of non-reaction, the clearer it becomes. And that's the next thing I want to talk about, is this method of non-reaction begins to strengthen your intuition. This doesn't mean that when you're happy, you act like you're not happy. That is reacting. You're trying to not react. You're trying, that thinker that is, and that feeler is trying to not react. But that is the reaction. But this awareness, it's it's elusive. This awareness you are is behind all that. And the second you begin to identify with this and see what's going on, you realize that everything you're thinking is just in this place. Even when you're happy. Even when you're happy. This doesn't only apply to hardship, and that's what I was going to talk about earlier, is that over time, you begin to realize that even when you're happy, there is an essence of non-reaction, where that doesn't mean you diminish how happy you are about something. It means essentially you are confident of how you feel about something, but humble of why you feel that way. You know why you feel that way. And like I've been saying, over time, this method strengthens your intuition, where you know when something does or does not require your participation in it. Be it replying to somebody that is arguing with you with a negative perspective, or a thought in your head that just kind of pops up that you don't agree with. You understand that there is no really problem here. This intuition tells you it's just another one of those moments where something's happening, something you're feeling a certain way and attaching to how you feel about it, and it's beginning to override your being. And this intuition will begin to allow you to know when that's happening. When somebody is mindlessly arguing with you and you are on the cusp of mindlessly arguing back, or you snap to this realization, why am I protecting how I feel right now? What's the point in projecting my side of the story? Because they have their side of the story, and what it is what they think is a collection of all the sides, all there is to understand, and you're wrong and they are right. And at first you may feel that you're right and they're wrong, or you feel wrong and you're trying to defend yourself or whatever it may be. You pull away from that, and you know that it's just this character that resides within the thoughts that feels like he is being attacked or victimized or put down, and you begin to lose the desire to even defend that character, because you know that what that person is saying to you is going right through you. It's not, this character is not grabbing onto this and letting it completely obliterate their vessel of how they feel about themselves and all this and that. It pierces through you, and you don't feel like it's an attack on you. And if anything, you see that this person feels like you are attacking them. And through this non-reaction, this is the next thing I have to say, is you begin to emit less destruction in the world, external and internal. When you're talking with somebody or arguing with somebody and you come to that awareness and realize, I do not need to participate with this right now. I feel the way I do. There is no sense in giving that to them. And at times, there will be the intuitive thought that they need to hear this. They should hear this. And you have understood to yourself why you were about to say it. And this is all happening within the moment of the situations you're in. Or you're alone, and you're having these bad thoughts. This place of non-reaction, of awareness. You begin to realize that you're not being hurt. You're not being damaged. You're not, the world isn't out to get you. And your feelings don't own you. You are not your feelings. You are not your thoughts. You play as the watcher of this entire dance going down. And it begins to release the tension that these thoughts and feelings have on this character that you believe you are, which is so hard to let go of after being taught and pounded with your name and what you do and what you're supposed to be doing and what you like and how you talk and all the stuff that goes into who you think you are. You begin to dissociate from that and see it as a product of the same field of thought and imagination. And through this, a very peaceful state of clarity will begin to come about, where this state of non-reaction is no longer falling away, where sometimes you react and sometimes you don't, but you are aware at all times of why you react the way you do, or why you aren't reacting at all. And you begin to see it in a very clear, wholesome way. And what also comes with this is boredom seems to just shit the bed completely out the window. Because when you believe to yourself that you're bored, you see it as a comparison of what you're imagining you'd rather be doing. And everything I've stated beforehand, this whole play of what you'd rather be doing, and I don't like doing this, and you begin to see that as what you're doing when you play as this observer. You begin to see, I'm bored right now, as what you're doing. And you say, what's the point in doing that, being bored? Or what's the point in being sad or being mad at somebody or anything like that? And you're going to begin to naturally fall into this place of just unconditional happiness and peace and acceptance with what's going on. You also begin to stop taking shit too seriously. When somebody says something to you, or you have a thought that completely perplexes you and you think everything's going down the shitter and nothing's ever going to be the same, you begin to return to that place. You return to that place. Why am I putting myself in that situation? Why am I identifying with the characteristics of what I am thinking? You're not the expressor. You are the observer, and the expressor is all these goods and bads and sads and happies. And as you begin to identify in this state of awareness, there begins to become a void of the one being affected, I guess, is what it is. So this is a pretty lengthy video. It was a good topic. I definitely enjoyed making it. But that's basically it in the art of non-reaction. So that's it for this video, and I will be back with more.